So before Dev Academy, I had studied software engineering at Victoria University for about 2 years. I did the first year all right, intro stuff, but then I found with the second year that the learning styles at university just weren't really fitting to me. It was kind of a one learning style kind of teaching place. So I looked at Dev and I found that they offered so many different ways of learning, and it was much more closely tutored and catering, and it was exactly that, and so I completely recommend it over university.
I was at high school and I had planned to finish level 2 and then go into Dev Academy, but halfway through level 2 I realised that I wasn't learning anything, and so I stopped going to school and came straight here, and it's like the best decision I've made.
I had a pretty already established career as a clinical dental technician, and not that I wasn't enjoying myself, but I just felt like everything was just getting a bit stale, and I felt like it was time to maybe kind of delve into something that I'd wanted to do for a long time. And yeah, I didn't want to go back to uni for 3 years, so someone from Zero recommended Dev Academy, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. It's been perfect for a career change. Yeah, doesn't take long, and you learn a bucket load in a short amount of time. So yeah, really enjoyed it.
I was studying in Otago doing the Bachelor of Information Tech, and my mother was actually working there at the time as well, and one of my tutors said to her that there was this place called Dev Academy, and I had loved the web development and the BAT, and I didn't enjoy much of the other stuff, and there wasn't that much content to do with web development. So after I found out about Dev Academy, I was just like, I'm doing that, and just dropped what I was doing. Even though I was 2 years in, and I was doing all right, but I just was like, I want to do web. I don't want to do anything else. So I came here, and it's absolutely great. I loved it.
So a day at Dev Academy was, in the morning we'd have a lecture, but we'd have mindfulness first. So you get ready for the day. You have a lecture where we start to cover information that we'll be working through for the day, and that gets you started, and then you go out and you're working in a group or in a pair, and you're doing some small assignments that might take half the day, the whole day, but it's to do with what you just learned in the lecture. So you're given this information, and then you secure it in this foundation, and the tutors are around to help you. And then you have a lunch break, come back, usually there's another lecture or an engineering empathy session or something, and then you just get back into the work. And so even though you're there from 9 till 5 every day, they're quite long days, you're just constantly working and learning, and it goes by just so fast.
My most fun part of the day at Dev Academy was probably stand-up. And that was because I loved being able to just talk to everyone and share random pieces of information with everyone and get to know all of my peers a lot better. And it was just the best way to do that. I really enjoyed it.
On Friday mornings, you do a special thing called Friday morning feels, where you just get to actually learn other stuff about people, not related to anything particular to do with code or anything, but each person gets kind of 2 minutes to talk about anything. And you can do what you want, you can have mindfulness if you want, but it's your 2 minutes to do what you like, and you learn some amazing things about people when you actually just listen and give them a chance to talk. Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
What I think changed me the most here was just working with a group of people that really were interested in what you were doing, and just it was amazing with all the tutors. They really cared about growing you as a person, not just in a technical way, but also emotionally, just helping you out if you were struggling with something. Yeah, and the support here is just amazing. The staff to student ratio is just phenomenal. You just don't get this anywhere else. You've got probably 3 or 4 staff that are just working really closely with you every day, and you'll maybe have 10 to 15 students. So yeah, you've got at least 1 staff every 3 people or something like that. It's great.
I would describe the culture at EDA as being extremely diverse, which in the tech industry sometimes isn't very normal, and so it's really, really awesome to see. And it's also a really happy and sharing and caring kindness, all of the adjectives. It's just such a happy environment to be in. As soon as you walk into the office, it's not what you think of an office. It's just colourful, and people look and feel like they want to be there, and you can tell that every time you talk to someone that they would not be anywhere else. This is where they want to be.
Something that Chris said is like, this shouldn't work, but just like having people of all different ages just shouldn't work, but it does, and it doesn't feel forced here. The support from the staff just makes things work. Like all the check-ins and the time they spend to just see how you're feeling, and getting people of all ages and different genders and backgrounds to work with each other is like absolutely amazing, and it feels really different to other places. Having people who are in their 40s working with people who are just out of high school, it's really cool to see people like that working together. Yeah.
I guess with the culture, because my younger brother's at art school, and him describing that, and then myself starting dev, they're very similar in that it's allowing people to be open and creative and express themselves, which is very impressive for a place where you're just learning logic mostly. And I think a real key point for me about understanding the culture of dev was after the big earthquakes, and just the way that everyone was giving everyone an opportunity to express how they felt about it, any concerns, making sure that everyone was safe. And then I suddenly got the flu after it, just due to all the stress. And then I just remember our head tutor just specifically saying to me, like, if you're sick, just go home, you'll be able to catch up, it's easy, just take care of yourself. And so taking that pressure off the workload and just making sure you yourself are healthy and learning is what really defines the culture.
Yeah, it's definitely a culture where you get to learn a lot about yourself, not just about coding and working with people, but you learn a lot about yourself, which I think is primarily based on the amount of the engineering empathy that you do, and all the mindfulness and thing, which I never really knew much about before I came, and probably I'd heard about it, but I always thought it was something a little bit airy-fairy and not really based in science or anything, but I really enjoyed it, and to be honest, I actually do a lot of it myself now, and it actually helps a lot. I try and pass it on to as many friends of mine that will listen as well, so it's actually really good.
I think just the times that I spent with Chris when he approached me. Sorry, I should start with repeating the question. My fondest memory of being at EDA was the times I spent with a colleague, Chris, who was mid-40s. He's a general surgeon, and he was just an interesting person to work with. Like, he always came up to me with things he'd been really struggling with and he'd spent a lot of time on, and he just wanted my help, and he was really genuine, and it was strange to have someone that much older than me, like, just being like, I don't get it, man, just like help me out. Like, that was really cool that he could just do that, and the space invites people to not feel stupid, I guess. Like, everyone feels fine to say, I don't understand, man, just help me out. Like, it's collaborative, you learn together, and you don't leave anyone behind.
I suppose it was like when I changed cohorts and came into the Piwakawaka cohort, and actually just being potentially a little bit scared about it, but it just worked really well, and I knitted in really well, and I'm actually really glad that I did do it, because I've made a lot more friends from it, and I learned so much more that I thought that maybe I knew it already, but I definitely didn't know it, and I feel like I know it now, and yeah, just putting in the time and the effort, it was definitely worth spending the time.
Mine would be, it's quite cheesy, but it's that there was so many times where I kind of stepped back and I was like, whoa, all of these people are my friends, which, like, you know, coming from high school where there's like 1,500 girls and you know maybe 20 of them and you like maybe 10 of them, here everyone likes each other and you're all friends, and it's really easy to get along, and even if you don't think that you are that close and that you get along that well, there's such a mutual respect because of the space and the environment that we're put in. And that's one of my fondest memories, is just every now and then stepping back and being like, whoa, I have like a cohort full of friends, it's awesome.
I suppose I have two fondest memories, where one of them's more sorted on the technical learning side, and then the other one's more of an interpersonal memory. But for the technical one, it was the 7th day of our boot camp, and coming from 2 years of uni, I kind of already understood the fundamentals that we're working through in the first week. But it was by the 7th day that we already caught up with 2 years of uni, and I got smacked with this entirely new concept. And I was working with Jasmine that day, and we had such a rough day trying to figure it out, but then the next day when I had to apply that information to a new concept, I was able to just be like, hey, I know how to do that all of a sudden because I've just brute forced my way through it, and now I know. And that was really satisfying. And then the other one was on our final projects 8.5 weeks later, and we're just working through this issue, and I couldn't understand why it wasn't working, and someone from another group had it working, and so I was collaborating with her, and we're trying to look through all the code and see what was going on, and it just looked like the code was almost identical. It wasn't working. And so I stepped outside for a bit just to take a breather, and then she comes out and's like, I solved it. I went through all your code, and I found this one thing that was in a different line than the other one, and I fixed it for you. So as much as it was like annoying that was the problem, I appreciated someone from another group just going through both code just that intensely just to help me out with a problem.
My advice for anyone who wants to be a web developer would be that you need to put time into it, but at the same time, don't let it consume you. Because the awesome thing about being here is that everyone's so passionate, but a lot of the times you can see that people are so passionate that it's like, hey, so when did you last sleep? And when did you last eat? And they're like, oh, I don't know, eh? And so that's so important, is look after yourself and enjoy life at the same time as working on your web development. And on the same end is be passionate. If you're not passionate about it, then why are you doing it? And I think there are enough people out here doing it that are passionate. And so if you aren't, move on, because there are enough people there who love what they're doing, and you wouldn't want to ruin that. But yeah, sleep and eat, very important.
Yeah, I'd probably echo a little bit of what Jasmine said, but the things just play with it a lot. It's a thing that you need to play with and enjoy doing, because you're going to do a lot of it, but just do silly things in code, something that may not actually serve any purpose, but you'll learn something by making something funny or something that might even seem boring, like a to-do app or something, but you'll learn something that you'll use later and something that's more fun, some sort of game that you make, but just got to keep playing with it the whole time, I would say.
My advice for someone wanting to be a web developer would be just like, don't undervalue the importance of something like a boot camp, because a lot of people bash them and say, oh, you could learn this online, but to discredit the soft skills and the support you get here and the ability to communicate and work in a team just doesn't make sense. Like, you just learn so much here working with other people, and you just can't get that sitting in your mum's basement at home, trying to nut it out. You'll get there, it'll just take you twice as long, and you can't get a job without having the experience and the projects that you've done here, and having those support avenues that you get here is just amazing.
Yeah, I think these guys all just hit the nail on the head in all the different aspects. So if you want to be a web developer, 100% recommend Dev Academy. I've recommended it to everyone. But also just in terms of your general knowledge and understanding, web development's a ridiculously huge scene. There's so much that you can do. But while we all have the same general knowledge amongst us, because we all did the same course, we all had opportunities to find what we're passionate about. Like Jasmine found more in the design side, and Brady started looking at web VR kind of things. And Steve was doing mobile apps. Like, those were things that weren't specifically taught on the course, but we were able to go out and do it. And I think just if you want to do web development, find what you're passionate about. It's all online, and just do it.